This video is intended to help A-level art students with their current exam unit, which is Component 2, and for us it's with the AQA. This video will show you where to start. It will give you super examples and links of different past examples from Component 2 work, and it will also show you processes to follow to ensure you're staying on track and you're making the most of your time in the exam unit. The most crucial thing you can do for any exam unit, whether it's photography or art, is look at quality examples. If you click in the link below, it will take you to differently graded exam units from the past, so you can see what have different students done, how have their books progressed, what have they done in terms of progression, journey, how have they done it, and then you could use that to see what grade has it got, what grade am I working towards, and use it to compare to your own processes and your own ideas. This will really help you to get to grips with what the type of work is expected from you in terms of workload and how that compares to a comparable grade. In each one of the folders that's in the link below, you'll be able to see examples of not only the prep work from books and sheets, but also the final piece that was then made across the 15-hour exam. This short video is just showing you how you can use the link just by clicking and copying and pasting it into a browser. Sometimes you can just click on it directly from the link, but once you do that and you've followed that little link, it will take you to a folder in Google Drive. That will then show you the different graded examples, and then once you click on those graded examples, you'll then be able to see the thumbnails come up for each of the different parts of the work. This particular work here was an amazing part of an A-star unit when combined with an A-star unit of coursework that got the student a fantastic grade. And the books and the images that you can see in the video clearly show a process and progression through to an excellent exam piece. So please make sure you access those. I'll be asking my students to do that. It's really, really important that you do that within the work. This is a copy of the exam paper that's current for the 2023 June release for the AQA, and it shows all of the questions that you could pick from just on one slide. I know the actual paper has got it across 3, but I just wanted to fit it on one slide so it made life a little bit easier. So once you've picked one of those questions, what should you do once you've looked at examples? Well, the next key thing is knowing your timings. Make sure you know how much time you've got before your exam, because once that exam starts, any prep work that you do cannot be added to and must be frozen at that point. That's a really serious stipulation from the examiner, so make sure you can put all of your effort into your prep work. Here on the screen you can see a little calendar at present what my guys are currently working to, and that's showing them when their art exam is, and it's also then giving them an idea of what they've got to do and where. And I use this when I'm planning with students, and also make sure I regularly communicate it to ensure that they know when their 3-day exam is. This slide is then what to do and suggests how you should progress once you've picked a question. Once you understand it, it's then down to doing one of the most important things, which is the exam question sheet. Just before we look at that, it's just very important to say that you know your assessment objectives and you really spend time focusing on them. It's really essential that you know the language that's being used so you can then compare your work to that work, which in combination with visual examples should help you to piece together the best possible submission. Don't just do one part. Don't just do one assessment objective. If you neglect AO1 and you don't have any connections, but you're an absolute legend at drawing, it will hurt you in the marks department. You have to make sure you are fulfilling all of the categories. That's really essential. This next slide is also showing you some of the wording and some of the dialogue that is from the assessment objective language that's used inside the specification. It's very essential that you look at it and become familiar with it. This slide here, that's just showing you what I want my students to do first. Once they've got that question, I want them to make an exam question sheet. And this shows you what should you write, what should you do, how should you annotate. And it's really key that you annotate directly on top of the exam paper to show the examiner that you have engaged with it directly. This slide is just giving students a rough example for how to put that slide together. It's not the most attractive of slides, but it does what it needs to do. It communicates the fact that you need to have an exam paper, you need to have annotation. I do suggest that sometimes my students leave a little area blank so they can then write their summarised intentions for what they intend to do. Always best to do this once you've got your research and you've done your mood board annotation, so you've got a little bit more of an idea for how to suggest about how you're going to continue the project. This slide here as well, that's just showing you little prompts and tips for what to do with the exam question, showing clearly that you need annotation, what that annotation can be, and also stating that it is very important that you also look at any artists that the question itself suggests. Even though you may not choose to take those artists further, if the question suggests it, it's good to look at what they do so you can get that into your early connections and your early research. This slide is showing a couple of exam question sheets that look great on the surface, lots of images in there, really great how they've been put together, but there's not a lot of annotation. There's not a lot of information about what is this student doing. Visually it's there, yes there's a connection, but both of these, great layouts, but no annotation. So it's really key that you don't just get the visual right, you must put that annotation on there. And that's why I often give my students a guide like this and make sure that they fill every single available part of space with some sort of annotation that is meaningful, not just random space filling stuff, but I need to know what those images are, how do they connect, what have you planned to do, what could you do with those images that could extend or develop the ideas within your work. This is a bit of a mind map. It's the mother or daddy of all mind maps, whatever you want to call it. It's got everything on there, and sometimes alongside having the exam question sheet, it helps to have a mind map put together. What sort of pages are you planning on doing? How are you going to start to develop and extend your work? And this should be shared with your teacher and show them so that they can make possible suggestions logistically or practically to help you achieve the best possible exam grade. This next slide here, which connects to the little resource link that I put in the video links and connections, is showing you a fantastic example of an A-star quality piece of work. It's down to the student to decide how they plan and put their work together. And in the case of this student, they left their research till after this point because they wanted to focus on recording. Absolutely no problem as long as you don't neglect it later. But this student, who starts off with a really brilliant sort of series of plans and drawings, as you can see on this sheet here, that really connects well with AO3, the drawing and recording type. Not just looking at secondary recording. As we go on to this last and final slide, you can then see as well that they visited the Walker Art Gallery for Sculptures, which is in Liverpool, to do some primary recording of images, as well as complementing and contrasting with the secondary resource images. So there's lots of experimentation on this slide, there's lots of different approaches, and then after this student goes into their research. But this video, hopefully, it's a little quick video just to show you how's the best way to start, what do you need to think of. I wish you all the best of luck with your exam, guys. If you've got any questions, please message me in the comments below. Thank you. Goodbye.